Hello everyone, and welcome to our TED Talk on Math 177, Calculus 2. This course wasn't just a continuation of what we learned in Calculus 1. It was a whole new level of understanding, from evaluating basic integrals to applying them in real-world problems like calculating volume, surface area, and even work and force. It was a journey filled with both challenges and discoveries. But before we got into all that, we each had different expectations about what this course would be like. Let's start there.
What were your expectations for the course at the start? Were these expectations met? Why or why not?
When I enrolled in Calculus 2, I expected it to be much harder than Calculus 1. I imagined more complicated formulas, abstract ideas, and tougher problem solving.
Honestly, I was nervous. I thought I'd be lost with topics like solids of revolution and multiple integrals. But I was also curious. I wanted to understand how calculus connects to physics and engineering.
Some of my expectations were met, especially the levels of difficulty, but what surprised me was how visual and logical the course turned out to be.
At the start of the course, I expected Calculus 2 to be even harder than Calculus 1 because I really struggled with that subject. I was honestly nervous and thought I would have a difficult time keeping up. But as the weeks went by, I realized that while it was still challenging, it was also manageable, especially with the help of our professors' clear explanations and the support from my classmates, friends, and family. My expectations were partly met because the lessons were tough, but I also gained more confidence in myself and saw how much I've grown in understanding and problem solving compared to before. It reminded me that just because something starts out intimidating doesn't mean it's impossible. You just have to keep showing up and do your best.
In the end, I'd say our expectations were challenged in a good way. Yes, the problems were tough, but so was our growth.
What teaching and learning strategies were used? Which worked well for you? Which didn't? What struggles did you face in the course? Which topics were discussed swiftly or in depth?
Let's move on to how we actually learned all of this. Calculus isn't something you can just memorize. It takes practice, patience, and the right strategies. So, we're going to share what worked for us and what didn't.
For me, one teaching strategy that really worked well was solving problems together as a class. When the professor showed the step-by-step solutions, it helped me follow and understand the logic.
I agree, the practice problems and visual examples made abstract topics like surface area and arc length are more easier to grasp.
But I struggled with improper integrals. At first, the concept seemed straightforward, integrals with infinite limits, or invariant functions. But applying it was much harder than I expected. The pace of the class was fast and sometimes I felt left behind. I needed more time to fully understand why limits were essential in evaluating this kind of integrals or how to approach problems with infinite bounds. Sometimes I'd spend extra time after class reviewing notes or watching videos, but the gaps in my comprehension made problem solving frustrating. I knew improper integrals were important for physics and other applications, so I kept pushing through, but it was definitely one of the more challenging topics for me.
Same here. Integration techniques like substitution and integration by parts were also tricky at first, especially choosing the right U for parts.
Topics like centroid and volume of solids were discussed in depth, while others like multiple integrals came a bit faster. Still, those deeper discussions gave us a sense of why and how these methods work.
My biggest takeaway: calculus isn't just math, it is a language to describe change, force, motion, and space. That changed the way I see the world.
What are the stated course outcomes? Were they achieved in your opinion? Should you pass the course based on your learning?
The course outcomes were clear and ambitious. First is to evaluate indefinite integrals. Second is to evaluate definite integrals and apply them to physical problems. Third and lastly is to evaluate multiple integrals and apply them too.
Do I think we achieved those outcomes? Yes, maybe not perfectly, but definitely meaningfully. We can now handle a wide range of integrals and know when to apply each method.
I agree with that. We have solved problems involving area, volume, arc length, work, and even the center of mass. More importantly, we understand how and why these concepts matter.
Why do you deserve to pass the course?
And finally, before we wrap up, we'll each share why we believe we deserve to pass this course. Not just because we survived it, but because of the skills and knowledge we've learned along the way. So for me, I believe I deserve to pass this course because I've learned to approach integral with a much more organized and strategic mindset. So back then, I'd usually guess or try random formulas. But now, I know how to analyze a problem, decide which technique to use, and solve it step by step. Whether it's substitution, integration by parts, or setting up an application problem, I'm no longer lost. This course trained me to think carefully and work systematically, and that's a skill I know I'll carry into my future courses. How about you guys?
I deserve to pass because I gain a strong grasp of definite integrals and their applications, whether it's computing the area under the curve or the volume of a solid. I can solve it.
I also deserve to pass because I now understand how to evaluate multiple integrals, especially double integrals over bounded regions. That's a skill I never thought I'd master. I put in the effort to practice and seek help when needed, and I feel confident in my ability to apply these concepts to real-world problems. I am proud of the progress I have made in this class and believe that I have demonstrated a strong understanding of the material. Passing this course will be a validation of my hard work and dedication.
What I'm most proud of is learning how to interpret integrals in real life problems, like calculating force or work. I no longer see integrals as just symbols, they represent real quantities.
MATH177 taught us more than just how to integrate. It taught us patience, precision, and persistence. And we are proud of how far we've come and grateful for everything we've learned, especially from our professor, who guided us with clarity, passion, and genuine care. Through every challenge, mistake, and breakthrough, we didn't just grow academically, we built resilience, discipline, and confidence. As we close this chapter, we carry with us not only the knowledge from the course, but also the life lessons that will serve us well in every step moving forward. Thank you for listening.